Well, good day to you. It is March the 29th, and I hope wherever you are, you're having a wonderful day. My name is Gary Willing. I want to welcome everyone to Search for Signs, and as I always like to do, point out if you're new, remind you again if you've heard these videos before, that the best thing to do if you have any questions about this, or if you want to see if there's any truth to this perhaps, or whatever, is to investigate it and educate yourself better about this information. If you look in the description portion of every one of these videos, there are links that take you to websites that give you wonderful background information about what we talk about in some way. It's there for you whenever you want, and it's free. It only costs you just a little bit of time. But if you do this, you have a clearer understanding of this information, but you also have a clearer picture on whether this is true for yourself. That's really the only way to do it, and that's why I always like to recommend everyone and every video to educate yourself better about this information. But if you want to join the discussion, you can post comments, post your questions in the comments section. You can email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. You can even reach out to me through Facebook. And I want to thank those people who have been liking posts that I've been putting up on Facebook and sharing those posts. I really do appreciate it. And I also want to give a shout out to those YouTubers who have commented and asked questions since the last time I put a video up. Vanessa Rivera, Maitreya, James Wambidi. I love this name, Reality Regenerator. That's right up there with Darth Vader. I love that name. Smoke Doja, nothing wrong with that name. Carolyn Palmer, it's got a good name too. MMA Powered, Thomas Otto, and Jason Kanish, and Ricardo Wesoli. Thank you very much for your comments and your questions, guys and gals. All right, now, Reality Regenerator, I'm going to start with you since you get the Best Name of the Week award. He said, thought you might like this quote. The lack of money is the root of all evil by Mark Twain. And I do like that quote. Now, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but there were a couple other Mark Twain quotes I want to talk about here. Here is it. Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. So true. Now, unfortunately, I've never found myself on the side of the majority. All my sports teams lose. Most of the time, my political candidates take a dive. I mean, it's just, it's been like that my whole life. Because you know why? I live in the South. And in the South, when you talk about things like sharing, love, unity, oneness, all they hear is communism, socialism, evil, and bad. And that's the vast majority of the people in the United States. Now, the good news is, and I'm holding out the hope of hopes, that what Maitreya says is true, that within the hearts of every single man, woman, and child on this planet, without exception, whether they intellectually realize it or not, is the longing for oneness and unity and sharing and justice. So I'm holding out for that. So maybe then when I find myself in the majority, I'll be able to take Samuel Clemens' advice and pause and reflect. The other one that I like too is because I like politics so much. Suppose you were an idiot, and suppose you were a member of Congress, but I repeat myself. So true, Mark. So true. But anyway, thank you very much for helping me to laugh today, Reality Regenerator. But let me get into your comment about, thought you might like the quote, the lack of money is the root of all evil. Okay, so is the lack of money the root of all evil? No, I don't think so. The root of all evil, the root of all suffering, comes from the belief that you are separate from one another. Not you personally, but everybody, right? And we all suffer this fate. And this is what's creating all the ills that we have in our life, is the belief that we are separate from one another. We live our life like that. We feel like we can harm somebody else and it doesn't come back to us. And then we wonder why when something affects us and hurts us or harms us, we wonder where that came from. Well, it all came from within us. You know, Jesus should have set the record straight 2,000 years ago with this when he said, what you sow shall you reap. Now, when I quote that line, and I'm sure you've heard it before, everybody that's read the Bible, even at a superficial level, with the exception of maybe Donald Trump, who's never read the Bible, but yet claims to know all about the Bible, would have heard that quote before, would have heard that verse before. But how many people really live by it, right? What you put out, you get back. If you put out harm, guess what? You get harm back, right? It affects us individually. It affects us internationally amongst nations and so forth. Groups have suffered the same fate and everything. And nobody's outside that law of the law of cause and effect. And that's what Jesus was talking about. What you sow shall you reap, right? So even the belief that you're separate causes the diseases that we have. Ben's master put it like this in Health and Healing Part 2. He said, disease is ultimately the result of wrong relationship to our higher self, the soul, to our brothers and sisters throughout the world, and to the whole of which we are a part. By the misuse of soul energy, we set in motion the causation. By wrong relationship to our fellows, we bring about disequilibrium and disharmony and illness of all kinds. Through our sense of separation, we cut ourselves off from the healing potencies which everywhere surround us. So it's even the result of it. It's even the cause of disease, is what he's saying, is the belief that we're separate. So, but anyway, thank you very much for the quote and the laugh, nonetheless. Now, in the last video, I said it was my 600th video. Not a lot of people, but some people actually sent me a lot of love and congratulations, and I'll read a couple of them to you. Congrats, Gary. I thank you for the help in understanding and encouragement, and thank you for your wonderful comment, Carolyn. And let's see, Jason Kanish, Vanessa Rivera, Ricardo Wesley, and Maitreya, you guys all said this, basically the same thing. And to quote Mark Twain, he said, I can live for 2 months on a good compliment. So I have 8 months of living now based on your guys' compliments. I really do appreciate you guys complimenting, because that means that I got a ways more to go. Thank you very much for that. Now, I am going to dive into the to the deeper end of the pool and read a not so flattering compliment coming from Smoke Doja. But what do you have to say? I have already told you who Maitreya is on TV right now. LOL. You removed my compliment. Keep your eyes on Israel is all I will say. They are the catalyst to him becoming known his real identity. He has an office at the UN and flies, spelled incorrectly, around on one of their private baby blue jets, and often wears a blue turban, just like Creme said he would. If I was a detective and read this, I would probably start watching UN videos on YouTube and just watch the backgrounds and pay attention to people. And you replied to yourself, and you can't block me for this. I didn't say what name he is using, and everything I said, Beanie Creme already told us. So if you want to know more about what Smoke Doja says, I would suggest finding a Beanie Creme book, and see what he had to say about it. I know that if you read any of the material that's coming from Share International, which is coming from Benjamin Creme, he didn't say anything about what you just said. So if you can cite the page and page number, Smoke Doja. I don't want to waste too much time on this. I'll just say this. If you can cite the page, paragraph, and the book that you're referring to, where Benjamin Creme said that Maitreya will be wearing a blue turban, flying a baby blue jet, and it will have an office in the UN, and even Israel will be the catalyst to people knowing who he is, I will devote a whole video to you, and I will say nothing about how wrong I am and how right you are, and I'll eat my words. That will be my deal to you. Find it. Let me know what you come up with, because I'm sure you can't find it. But anyway, I appreciate it. Now, I will say this, though. People who read this information on a very, very superficial level and don't take the time to even scratch the surface and read more about it, they look at pictures like what they see of, which is the most famous picture of Maitreya that was taken in Nairobi, Kenya. They see him in this white headdress with this baby blue wrap around the headdress, and they think that that's somehow how Maitreya is going to dress in the future. Well, it's not. That's how Maitreya appeared to that group. It was a very fundamentalist Christian religious group in Nairobi, Kenya, that's how they expected Jesus to come back and what he would be wearing. That's why he dressed like that. If you look at the photographs of Maitreya, not just the face pic, but if you go and look at the whole group, you will see that every single one of those people in that group, which was about 5,000 of them, were all wearing the exact same looking outfit, white with blue accents to it. The only one that was different that I can tell was Maitreya Quote. Her dress was all that color blue. But that doesn't mean that Maitreya is going to be walking around wearing a blue headband or a blue turban and all that kind of stuff. When Maitreya is speaking to people in the West, in whatever venue he will be speaking in very well-to-do clothes that fit that function. If it's a upscale function, he'll be wearing or on TV or something, he'll be wearing a suit and tie. all thought created. He doesn't have to go out and buy these clothes himself. He can actually think it and make it however he wants it to look. If he's speaking to people in the Middle East, he might be wearing more of, that long white kind of garb that they wear, looking more Middle Eastern in that kind of way or whatever. If he's in a casual situation, he won't be quite as tight in his dress. So he'll be a little bit more relaxed, but it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be walking around wearing a blue turban. But I appreciate that. Now, the other thing I want to say too, and this, I'm just going to read your reply, and you can't block me for this. I didn't say what name it is, what name he's using. And everything I said, Beanie Creme already told us. Well, like I said, if Beanie Creme said it, then I guess he said it. But Benjamin Creme never said it. But here's my thing. And you're not alone in this, Smoke Doja. I don't understand what the big deal is about me moderating my comments on my channel. I've set it up very clearly. If you put in a comment that's disrespectful, disruptive, or trolling, or use Maitreya's name whenever you find out who Maitreya is on TV and you say, hey, I know what name he is and what channel he's on, that I would take it down. I don't see what's wrong with me doing that. Just because in every video practically I say I really appreciate people commenting doesn't mean that I can't moderate my channel. I could turn off all comments and just put up videos and not have any comments if I really wanted to, but what's the point of that? But I appreciate it when people comment, and I know when somebody doesn't disagree with me and they comment, it's nothing personal to me, so I leave it up. But if it's trolling or something like that, I will take it down. But I think people think because they might think that that's a sign of being insincere, that I really do appreciate it when people comment, but I really do. But, am I perfect as a person? No. If you knew me well enough, you would see all my faults, and I wouldn't have to tell you what my faults are on a YouTube channel, but I got many and plenty, and they're there, and they cause me problems, and I have to deal with them. And if you knew me, like I said, if you knew me, you would be able to point them out to me too, probably easier than I can see them for myself. But anyway, me being insincere about people and not being grateful about, and truly being ungrateful about people commenting is not one of my faults, Smoke Doja. But I really do appreciate your comments, and thank you very much for that. And if you ever do mention his name, I will take it down for sure. But I don't think you have any idea who Maitreya is on TV, because you don't really know who Maitreya is at this point. But anyway, because you haven't taken the time to really learn it and really study it, but you have your prejudices of him and that kind of thing. But anyway, thank you again for the comment. And to quote Mark Twain, what would he say about that? Okay, he would say, it's better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. So I'll leave you with that one, Smoke Doja. How about that? But anyway, I'm sure I'll hear about that from you later. But anyway, I couldn't resist. All right, now, James Wambidi, you asked, how often do you meet or communicate with Lord Maitreya? That's a hard one to really answer directly, because I've seen him a lot of times in my life, and I really haven't kept track. I think the last time I remember seeing him was April of 2021. But here's the thing, James. I'm not the only one who's seen him. Millions upon millions of people have seen him. Whether they've recognized him or not is on them. And the vast majority of the people do not recognize when they see Maitreya. Just like the vast majority of the people are not recognizing Maitreya on TV or in the media or whatever he is. Because he doesn't claim to be Maitreya. Which I know you know, James, but most people don't know that. They would think that if he was really who we think he is, he would be going around telling everybody that. But why would he do that? What's the point of him even doing that? Most people wouldn't even believe him. So it'd be better just to tell you what's important. The need for peace, the need to share, than to really say who it's coming from. But anyway, like I said, I'm not unique. Now, there was one time that I saw Maitreya years upon years ago. He looked like George Burns from Oh God, if you remember those movies. And he had kind of a fisherman's cap with a bunch of fisherman lure around it, just like George Burns did when he appeared as God to John Denver. He had a members only jacket and khaki pants, and looked almost exactly like him. And he whispered in my girlfriend's ear at the time, he said, make sure that boy knows how lucky he really is. And I didn't really know what he meant by that. So when my girlfriend and I were driving Benjamin Creme around before he gave his lecture, she told him about this experience, and he said, oh, that was Maitreya. And I remember thinking to myself, I didn't even say this out loud to Ben at the time, but I said, wow, does that mean I'm going to win the lottery? And then he turns it to me and he goes, Gary, I don't think that means you're going to win the lottery or anything. He goes, he was saying that because it's very easy for you to recognize him, and that what makes you lucky. That's what's making you lucky about this. That the vast majority of people who see him do not recognize him. But I'm not the only one, for sure. And some of the things that he said, I share with you guys on this channel to help you guys out. But there are other people who could say some of the same things, and some things that he said to other people have really changed my life too. So that's why I like to share what he says to me. Now, the last time I saw him, like I said, it was April or May. I can't remember exactly the month of 2021. I was working for the job that I'm in right now, where I train employees. I was working at a store that I didn't particularly like to go to. In fact, it's my least favorite store to train in, because it was just a toxic work environment amongst the employees, and which was rare for the company that I work in, because most stores that I work in and train in don't have that problem. And it reminded me a lot of some of my previous jobs where I worked for years, where I just regretted and dreaded going into every single day of my life for years, because it made me miserable, right? So I was going to this store like this, and it was the same kind of deal. Now, a few days or a week or so before I saw Maitreya, I was lying in bed with my wife reading a baby book that I had found in my closet that I had totally forgotten about. And I was flipping through all this stuff, how much I weighed when I was born, the first little clip of hair that was taken for my first haircut. And then I come across this one photo of myself, and it was the first photo that was ever taken of me when I was still in the hospital. And here's this cute little baby. I was pretty cute. And my hands were in the shape of a fist. And one was up by my head and the other one was down a little bit. And it looked like I was boxing. And I said to my wife, I was like, wow, it's like I've been fighting my whole life. You know what I mean? I mean, look at me now. I'm still fighting everything, man. I'm fighting at work. I'm fighting at this. I'm fighting with the political divisions. All this stuff going on and on and on and on. I'm fighting everywhere in my life, and it's just exhausting. How much more can I take of this, right, is what I was thinking. But that's all I said to her was, it's looked like I've been fighting my whole life. Well, anyway, I got sent to this store to train, the one that was very toxic, that I was fighting in just like I was a lot in my life. And I just happened to be out in the parking lot with my trainee, and out, it was probably 50 yards away. It was a long way away. And there's a lot of background noise because there's a lot of traffic in this parking lot. It's really loud. And he comes out of the store and screams my name, but yet I can still hear him over all this noise. He goes, Gary! Gary! And at first, I couldn't really see who it was. I didn't know if it was an employee or a customer or what, but it was like, who's screaming my name like this? It must be really important, right? Like the building is on fire or something. I don't know. But he kept screaming my name, and then I kept squinting. I was like, I don't know who this person is. But weird thing is my trainee never asked me, do you know that guy? Right? She never said anything. She was just like oblivious to it, but she was kind of oblivious like that anyway. But anyway, so he comes bouncing up to me, has this huge smile on his face. And then what does he do? He puts his hands in a fist, just like my picture when I was a baby that I just commented to my wife about a few days ago, and started shadow punching me, like you would do. And he kind of tapped me on the stomach. And he goes, man, Gary, it's like you've been fighting your whole life, man. He goes, but you're starting to learn what I learned a long time ago, which is honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit, and detachment, and to not fight, right? I'm still learning it, right? And so I haven't mastered it like he has for sure. Anyway, but it's a start, I guess. But anyway, that's what he said to me. And then he stops play punching me, and he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, it is so good to see you again, Gary. And then he goes, but I got to go. And then he starts walking toward his truck, and he just leans back, and he kind of looks back, and when he gets in his truck, and he looks at me, and he kind of flashes this huge grin and this smile at me, and waves at me, and then honks his horn, and then drives away. And the whole week that I was in this store that I hated to work at, I kept thinking about him, and I was just walking on air the whole time. And it definitely made my time there a whole lot easier. So anyway, but that was the last time I saw him. And I always kind of hesitate to talk about some of these stories that have happened after Ben died, because I can't confirm it with him, but I'm pretty sure that was him. But I will leave you with something that he said to me years ago, and just a little while before he made his first television appearance. Maitreya said to me, he goes, "You're going to see me on TV real soon, and we're going to change the world together." You guys have a great day. I love you very much. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you real soon. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.